John Carter wiped sweat from his brow as he finished adjusting the pressure valve. After 15 years fixing farm equipment in rural Ohio, he never imagined he'd end up here, floating in space, managing Orbital Repair Station 47. System check complete. Pressure normalized. He muttered to himself, closing the panel and pushing gently away. The station had been operational for just 3 months, yet something strange was happening. What had started as a standard repair outpost for human vessels was becoming something else entirely. John drifted through the main corridor toward the command center, his magnetic boots occasionally clicking against the metal floor when he needed to stop himself. Through the large observation windows, he could see them. Alien ships, at least 7 different designs, all waiting in the queue for repairs. "Morning, boss," said Pete Wilson, the station's communications officer. "Got 3 more requests overnight. That makes 11 in the waiting line." John frowned. 11? The station isn't even advertised on alien networks yet. How are they finding us? Pete shrugged. Word of mouth, I guess, or whatever aliens use instead of mouths. The first alien vessel had arrived 6 weeks ago, a Volare trade ship with propulsion issues. Their captain had seemed desperate, claiming they'd visited 4 other repair stations without success. John and his small team had fixed the problem in less than a day. "That Zipari freighter is next in line," Pete said, pointing to a cylindrical vessel with odd bulges along its hull. "Their translator isn't great, but from what I understand, they have coolant regulation problems." John nodded and headed to the airlock. He'd need to see this firsthand. An hour later, John floated inside the alien engine room, surrounded by technology he'd never seen before. The Zipari engineer beside him chittered nervously, the translation device on its chest converting the sounds into broken English. "Many cycles. No function right. Other fixers say impossible." John studied the coolant system. The design was strange, but the problem was familiar. Circulation issues caused by particulate buildup. On Earth, he'd seen similar problems in old tractors. "Your filters are custom, but the problem isn't complex," John explained, pointing to a cloudy section of tubing. "This needs cleaning, and these valves need recalibrating." The alien's 4 eyes blinked in unison. "Others say replace whole system. Very expensive." "No need," John said. "We can have you running in about 8 hours." By the end of the day, the Zipari ship departed with fully functioning systems, and John received a message that 3 more alien vessels had joined the crew. Susan Miller, John's old colleague from the Cleveland shipyards, called that evening. "John, what the hell is going on up there? I'm hearing rumors that aliens are lining up at your station." "It's getting weird, Sue," he admitted. "They keep coming, saying no one else can fix their problems. Most repairs aren't even that complicated." Earth Central noticed too. "They're sending me up with 5 more technicians next week." After the call, John stood at the main viewport, watching a massive Crex harvester ship slowly approach the station. It was easily 3 times larger than anything they'd serviced before. "Sir," Pete called from his console, "the Crex captain is requesting to speak with you directly. Says they've traveled from the edge of the Hedarian cluster specifically to reach us." John felt a strange mix of pride and confusion. "Put them through." The screen flickered to life, showing a tall, ridge-backed alien in an ornate uniform. Its voice rumbled through the translator. "Station manager, we bring you our flagship with navigation system failures. All Crex repair stations have failed to resolve the issue. We have heard humans possess unusual repair abilities. Is this true?" John looked out at the growing line of alien vessels, each from different worlds, different technological traditions, all coming to this small human station for help. "We'll do our best," he said simply. He didn't fully understand yet why aliens were flocking to human repair stations, but as he organized his team for the Crex repairs, John knew something important was happening. Something that might change humanity's place among the stars. Susan Miller arrived at Station 47 3 weeks ahead of schedule. Earth Central had expedited her transfer after receiving reports about the growing line of alien vessels. "This is insane," she said, staring at the holographic display showing 23 ships in the queue. "When I left Earth, they told me it was just a small uptick in traffic." John smiled, handing her a cup of coffee. "It's been doubling every week. We're working around the clock and still falling behind." Susan had been John's mentor back on Earth. While he had focused on farm equipment and later spacecraft engines, she specialized in complex electrical systems. Her arrival couldn't have come at a better time. "I brought 12 technicians, not 5, she said, "and equipment to expand the repair base." "We'll need all of it," John replied. "Come on, I'll show you what we're dealing with." They floated through the station to Repair Bay 3, where a team was working on a sleek, silver vessel. Its hull plates had been removed, revealing intricate circuitry, unlike anything manufactured by humans. "That's a Glish scientific vessel," John explained. "Supposedly the most advanced sensors in the galaxy, but they can't figure out why their quantum field modulators keep failing." Susan studied the exposed systems. "Those connections look corroded. Simple problem with a complex system." "Exactly. That's been the pattern. These species developed incredibly specialized technology, but they lack the ability to improvise when things go wrong." Later that day, Susan experienced this firsthand. She had been assigned to repair a Drovian merchant ship's communication array. The Drovian engineer, a tall blue-skinned being, watched anxiously as she examined the equipment. "Our communication is based on crystalline technology," the alien explained through its translator. "The network fails, but we cannot identify why. 2 Drovian repair stations could not solve it." Susan traced the connections, finding nothing obviously wrong until she noticed something peculiar. Minor temperature fluctuations in the ship's hull were affecting the crystal resonance. "Your crystals are perfect," she told the Drovian, "but they're mounted directly to the hull. Temperature changes are disrupting their alignment." The alien's eyes widened. "But our design specifications require direct hull mounting." "Sometimes specifications are wrong," Susan said, already fabricating a simple insulating mount. "This should fix it." Within hours, the Drovian ship had perfect communications for the first time in months. The captain was so pleased he transmitted news of the repair to the entire Drovian trading network. "You realize what this means?" John asked during their end-of-shift meal. "More ships coming." Susan nodded. "But why us? Why humans?" The answer came gradually as they handled more repairs. Unlike most alien species, humans hadn't evolved with a single technological path. Earth's divided history meant technologies developed separately, forcing humans to constantly adapt systems to work together. "We're technological jacks of all trades," observed Frank Reynolds, one of the new technicians, after successfully merging 3 alien technologies to solve a power distribution problem. "These aliens are masters of their own tech, but completely lost with anything else." By the end of the month, Earth Central recognized the strategic opportunity. 2 more human repair stations were fast-tracked for construction, and recruitment began for technicians with unconventional backgrounds. The success wasn't going unnoticed across the galaxy. Susan intercepted communications from several alien repair conglomerates discussing the human problem. "They're not happy about losing business," she told John as they watched the arrival of yet another alien vessel, this one larger than any they'd seen before. "They can complain all they want," John replied. "But as long as we can fix what they can't, the ships will keep coming." The station's communication system chimed, signaling an incoming message. It was from Earth Central, marked urgent. "Open it," John said. The message was brief. "Station 47 designated as strategic asset. Expansion now top priority. Prepare for major upgrade." Susan and John exchanged glances. Their little repair station was becoming much more than anyone had expected. The expansion of Station 47 happened at a dizzying pace. What had started as a simple orbital repair facility now stretched over 3 kilometers, with specialized docking bays accommodating vessels of all sizes. Earth Central had poured resources into the station, recognizing its growing importance in galactic affairs. "They're calling us the Fixers," John told Susan as they reviewed the day's repair schedule. "Apparently, it's becoming a term across several alien languages." Susan nodded, scrolling through the endless list of pending repairs. "Did you see the latest report? We've now handled ships from 32 different species. Some traveled for weeks just to reach us." The station's reputation for solving impossible problems had spread throughout the nearest galactic arm. What started as a trickle had become a flood, with alien vessels arriving daily, all seeking human ingenuity. Nathan Blackwell arrived on the station 6 months after Susan. He had been a garage tinkerer from Seattle with no formal engineering training, but his knack for repurposing technology had caught Earth Central's attention. Within his first week, Nathan had already made his mark. "This is incredible," he muttered, examining the damaged drive core of a Kraken mining vessel. "They've got a quantum stabilizer connected directly to a mechanical turbine. No wonder it keeps failing." The Kraken engineer clicked its mandibles nervously. "Drive design is ancient tradition, cannot be changed." Nathan smiled. "We won't change it. We'll just add something in between." He began sketching a hybrid adapter that would bridge the incompatible technologies. 3 days later, the mining vessel departed with a perfectly functioning drive that maintained the traditional design while eliminating the fatal flaw. The Kraken were so impressed, they sent their entire fleet for similar modifications. Lisa Gordon arrived next. She had been a junkyard worker from Detroit who could build almost anything from scraps. Her talent for repurposing discarded components quickly proved invaluable. One afternoon, Lisa stood before the station's leadership team, holding what looked like a cobbled-together device. "This is a universal diagnostic tool," she explained. "I built it from parts salvaged from 12 different alien ships. It can interface with almost any system we've encountered." John examined the device. "How does it work with incompatible technologies?" "That's the beauty of it," Lisa said, grinning. "It doesn't try to be compatible. It observes from outside the system, measuring energy patterns, vibrations, and emissions. It doesn't need to understand the technology to see if it's working properly." The diagnostic tool revolutionized their repair capabilities, cutting diagnosis time by more than half. Soon, Lisa was training other technicians to build similar devices. As the station's reputation grew, Earth's governments began to recognize the strategic importance of human repair capabilities. What had started as a curiosity was becoming a cornerstone of human-alien relations. "We've received another diplomatic inquiry," Susan told John during their weekly meeting. "The Volari High Council wants to establish a permanent trade agreement. They're offering exclusive access to their crystalline computing technology in exchange for a dedicated repair facility." John whistled. "That's the third major offer this month. And likely not the last," Susan replied. "Earth Central is calling it repair diplomacy. We're gaining access to technologies we couldn't develop ourselves, all because we can fix things." The station's success didn't go unnoticed by everyone. Reports came in about alien repair conglomerates losing business and political influence. Some were beginning to view humans as a threat to established order. "Security picked up unusual communications," Susan said quietly. "Some of the major repair guilds are discussing ways to discourage ships from coming to us." John frowned. "We're just fixing ships. How is that threatening?" "Because we're changing the balance of power," Susan explained. "Species that relied on others for maintenance now have an alternative. That shifts alliances, trade relationships, everything." As they spoke, a massive vessel appeared on the long-range sensors, larger than any they'd seen before. Its design was unmistakable. "That's a crawl warship," John said, suddenly tense. "What's a military vessel from the most secretive empire in the galaxy doing at our station?" The answer would soon change everything. The Krell warship approached Station 47 slowly, trailing debris and venting atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. Emergency lights flickered across its dark surface. The massive vessel dwarfed the repair station, its distinctive blade-like profile unmistakable, even in its damaged state. "They're hailing us," Pete announced from communications. "Audio only." John nodded, and a harsh, raspy voice filled the command center. "Human repair station. Our vessel is critically damaged. We require immediate assistance. Many injured aboard." Susan exchanged worried glances with John. The Krull Empire was notoriously isolationist, engaged in border conflicts with at least 3 major powers. Helping them could be seen as taking sides in galactic politics. "We need to contact Earth Central before we respond," Susan whispered. John shook his head. "There are injured aboard. We can't wait for bureaucrats to decide." He activated the comlink. "Krull vessel, this is Manager John Carter. We'll prepare our largest bay for your ship. Send medical requirements immediately." Within an hour, the warship was secured in Bay 7, the largest docking area on the station. Alan Porter, the station's diplomatic officer, hurried toward John and Susan as they prepared to board. "This is a political nightmare," Alan said, straightening his uniform. "The Valeri ambassador is already demanding explanations. The Krull just destroyed one of their outposts last month." "We're a repair station, not a military base," John replied firmly. "We help any ship in distress, regardless of politics." Aboard the Krull vessel, the situation was worse than expected. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows across corridors filled with injured crew. The ship's commander, a tall figure with gray-scaled skin and piercing yellow eyes, greeted them at the airlock. "I am Commander Vexthor. You have our gratitude for this assistance." "What happened to your ship?" John asked, surveying the damage. "We encountered difficulties near the Scutum Centaurus arm. Our drive system was sabotaged during a diplomatic mission." Ellen stiffened beside John. The Scutum Centaurus arm was controlled by the Heradrian Alliance, Earth's strongest allies in the sector. "Your ship needs extensive repairs," Susan observed, scanning the visible damage. "And your injured need immediate medical attention." "Our medical bay was destroyed in the attack," Vexthor replied. 23 crew members require critical care." John made a quick decision. "We'll transfer your injured to our medical facility. Susan, organize repair teams. Alan, please inform Earth Central of the situation." As they dispersed, Alan grabbed John's arm. "This could start a diplomatic incident, or worse. The Heradrians will see this as humans taking the Krull side. These people need help. Politics comes second." Over the next 3 days, Station 47 worked around the clock. The Krull warship had suffered damage to critical systems that even their own engineers couldn't repair. Human technicians discovered the sabotage had been sophisticated and targeted specifically at Krull technology vulnerabilities. On the 4th day, a Heradrian diplomatic vessel arrived, demanding immediate audience. Alan met with their ambassador in the station's conference room, while John continued overseeing repairs. The ambassador claims the Krull vessel attacked their research outpost unprovoked. Alan reported afterward. "They're demanding we cease repairs and surrender the ship for justice. And the Krull say they were on a diplomatic mission when they were sabotaged," John said, frowning. "Someone's lying." The truth emerged that evening. While repairing the ship's data core, Lisa discovered intact sensor logs contradicting both stories. The Krull ship had indeed been on a diplomatic mission, but not to attack. They had been responding to a peace overture from a Heradrian faction seeking to end hostilities. Someone wanted this peace initiative to fail, Alan realized. A third party sabotaged the ship and made it look like an attack. Armed with this information, Alan arranged an unprecedented meeting between the Krull commander and the Heradrian ambassador aboard Station 47. Tensions were high as the two traditional enemies faced each other across the conference table. "We have proof that neither of you is responsible for what happened," Alan explained, displaying the recovered data. You've both been manipulated. The revelation changed everything. By the end of the day, the first tentative communication in decades had begun between the two powers, with Station 47 serving as neutral ground. Repair diplomacy, indeed, Susan said as they watched the Haradrian ship depart peacefully. We didn't just fix their ship. We may have fixed a conflict. The success of the Krull mediation brought even more attention to Station 47. Ships arrived daily, some needing repairs, others seeking the station's growing reputation for neutral diplomacy. The human repair teams worked constantly, expanding their knowledge of alien technologies while developing unique hybrid solutions. 3 weeks after the Krull incident, John noticed something odd. Repair times were increasing despite their improved expertise. Equipment failures were happening more frequently. At first, he attributed it to overwork and the station's rapid expansion. Another diagnostic unit failed, Lisa reported during the morning briefing. That's the 5th one this week. Susan frowned. And Bayfor had that unexplained pressure drop yesterday. Could be connected. Run a full systems check, John ordered. Something doesn't feel right. Before they could begin, alarms blared across the station. Red emergency lights flashed in every corridor. Multiple failures in the orbital stabilization system, Pete shouted from his console. We're shifting out of position. John rushed to the main engineering terminal. The station's orbit was indeed degrading, its stabilizers failing sequentially in a pattern that couldn't be coincidental. This isn't random, he said grimly. Someone's sabotaging us. Susan was already accessing the security feeds. I'll start checking everyone who's come aboard in the last month. Focus on maintenance areas, John suggested. Whoever's doing this knows our systems. The situation worsened over the next hours. Life support began fluctuating in several sections. Repair bays lost power. Communication with Earth became sporadic. In a maintenance shaft on level 6, Kimberly Wright was checking air filtration systems when she heard an unusual sound. A metallic clicking followed by a soft peep. She followed the noise to a junction box that controlled pressure regulators for the entire level. Attached to it was a small device she'd never seen before, certainly not standard equipment. A thin green light pulsed along its surface. As she leaned closer, she noticed similar devices attached to other critical systems in the shaft. Kimberly reached for her communicator, then hesitated. If someone had planted these devices, they might be monitoring communications. Instead, she quickly sketched the devices and their positions, then made her way toward the command center. She never made it. Turning a corner, she collided with a technician she'd never seen before, a tall man with a station maintenance uniform, but no identification badge. His eyes widened at the sight of her datapad with the sketches visible. You shouldn't be here, he said coldly. Kimberly backed away. I work here. I'm checking the filtration systems. The man advanced toward her. No, you were checking something else. Something you shouldn't have seen. Kimberly turned and ran, the sound of pursuit close behind. She ducked into a side passage, squeezed through an access panel, and found herself in the cargo handling system, a network of automated tracks that moved supplies throughout the station. Meanwhile, John and Susan had identified a pattern to the failures. They were progressive, designed to make the station appear to be suffering cascading system breakdowns rather than deliberate sabotage. Someone wants this to look like an accident, Susan concluded, or incompetence on our part. The alien repair guilds, John realized. They're trying to destroy our reputation. If ships believe we can't even maintain our own station. The station shuddered violently. Another stabilizer had failed. At this rate, we have less than 6 hours before orbital decay becomes irreversible, Pete announced. Kimberly managed to reach a communication terminal in a storage room. She quickly transmitted her findings to the command center before the door burst open behind her. In the command center, Susan examined the images Kimberly had sent. These are sabotage devices, all right. And they're connected to some kind of central control system. Can we shut them down? John asked. not without finding the main controller, and whoever placed these knows exactly what they're doing. The station lurched again. Through the viewports, they could see Earth growing larger as their orbit continued to decay. "Alert all repair teams," John ordered. "We're not looking for random failures anymore. We're looking for deliberate sabotage, and find Kimberly right immediately. She may have seen who's responsible." As they mobilized, a new alarm sounded. The repair materials storage had been compromised. Their critical supplies were being systematically destroyed. Time was running out for Station 47. The emergency alert echoed through the station's corridors. With orbital decay accelerating, John ordered a station-wide search for both Kimberly and the saboteur. Teams of technicians spread through the levels, checking every maintenance area and storage compartment. "We've got another problem," Susan called from her console. "The saboteur has locked out our distress beacon. We can't call for help." John stared at the station's trajectory projection. At current decay rates, they had less than 4 hours before re-entry. "Can we reach any of the ships in the repair queue? They might be able to assist." Before Susan could answer, the communication system activated unexpectedly. On the main screen appeared the leathery face of Captain Zexalon of the Volari trade vessel they had repaired months ago, the first alien ship to visit Station 47. "Station 47, we detect your orbital instability. Do you require assistance?" John nearly collapsed with relief. "Captain Zexalon, we're experiencing a sabotage attack. Our stabilizers are failing and repair materials have been compromised." The Volari captain's inner eyelids flickered, their equivalent of a nod. "We monitored unusual communications from competing repair guilds. When we saw your orbit changing, we alerted others you have helped." The screen split to show other vessels, a Zepari freighter, a Kraken mining ship, even the repaired Kral warship. All had been monitoring the station's situation. "We stand ready to assist," the Kral commander stated. "Your station helped us when others would not." Within minutes, alien vessels began moving into position around the failing station. The Volari ship extended docking tubes, allowing their engineers to board with replacement parts. The Kral warship used its own tractor systems to counter the station's orbital decay. Amanda Phillips, one of the station's newer engineers, found herself coordinating an impossible team. Technicians from 7 different species, none of whom had worked together before, many from civilizations traditionally hostile to each other. "We need to stabilize the North Quadrant first," she explained, using diagrams rather than struggling with translators. "The sabotage devices are linked through these junctions." A Kraken engineer clicked its mandibles thoughtfully. "Your station design uses redundant systems, yes. We can bypass damaged sections if we reconfigure this network." "Exactly," Amanda agreed. "But we need to find the control hub." In the cargo processing section, Kimberly remained hidden inside a supply container. She had evaded the saboteur only to find herself trapped as the section was locked down. Through a small gap, she watched as the man who had chased her consulted with another figure. This one clearly not human. "The station will begin breakup within 3 hours," the alien said, its translator creating flat, emotionless speech. "The Guild Council will pay the remainder when confirmed." "And what about me?" the human asked. "I was promised transport off-station. A vessel awaits in Bay 12, the alien replied. "But first, ensure the control hub remains secure." As they left, Kimberly carefully extracted herself from the container. She now knew where to find the control hub. It had to be near Bay 12, where the saboteur's escape route was planned. Using maintenance crawlways, she made her way toward that section, transmitting her location using an emergency beacon from her toolkit. Meanwhile, the unprecedented cooperation continued throughout the station. Human technicians found themselves teaching improvisation techniques to alien engineers who had never considered such approaches. "No, like this," Nathan demonstrated to a confused Zepari technician. "We don't need to replace the entire system. We can bridge these circuits temporarily until proper repairs can be made." The Zipari watched in fascination as Nathan created a functional bypass from mismatched components. "This is not according to specifications," it observed. "Specifications don't matter if you're about to crash into a planet," Nathan replied with a grin. Amanda coordinated the growing repair effort from a makeshift command post. Alien vessels continued arriving. More than 20 now surrounded the station, providing parts, expertise, and in some cases, simply using their engines to help stabilize the station's position. "I've never seen anything like this," Susan said, watching species that normally avoided each other working side by side. "They're here because we helped them," John replied. "Now they're returning the favor." The station shuddered again, but less violently than before. The combined efforts were beginning to make a difference. In a service corridor near Bay 12, Kimberly found what she was looking for, a hidden panel containing an intricate device connected to the station's main conduits. This had to be the control hub for the sabotage devices. The orbital stabilization of Station 47 took 3 days of continuous work. Ships from 17 different species remained in position, their engines firing periodically to counter the last effects of the sabotage. Inside the station, mixed crews of humans and aliens worked side by side, restoring systems and removing the last of the sabotage devices. John stood at the main viewport, watching the extraordinary scene. Never before had so many different species cooperated on a single project. Earth Central just sent their response, Susan said, joining him at the window. "They're calling this the Repair Coalition, the first spontaneous multi-species cooperative effort in recorded galactic history." John smiled tiredly. "All because someone tried to put us out of business." The saboteurs' plot had backfired spectacularly. The alien repair guilds had hoped to destroy human credibility in the repair market. Instead, they had created something unprecedented. A demonstration that humans could not only fix technology, but could teach and coordinate others to do the same. 6 months after the sabotage attempt, Station 47 had been completely rebuilt and expanded. It now served as the template for a new kind of facility spreading throughout human space, repair hubs where technology from any civilization could be maintained, modified, or improved. Daniel Hayes, a former vehicle mechanic from Chicago, stood before the first graduating class of the Interspecies Engineering Academy. The large chamber contained students from 23 different species, all there to learn human repair techniques. "Today marks the beginning of a new approach to technology," Daniel told them. "For too long, the galaxy has been divided by specialized knowledge. Each civilization guarded its technological secrets, creating artificial barriers between worlds." He gestured to the workshop behind him, where examples of various alien technologies were displayed. "Humans didn't develop the most advanced technology. We don't have the oldest civilization or the most resources. What we have is adaptability, the ability to look at different systems and see connections others miss. And now we're sharing that ability with all of you." Across human space, repair stations were becoming centers of diplomacy and cultural exchange. Species that had previously avoided contact now found themselves working together under human guidance. Trade routes shifted to include human repair hubs, and Earth's economic importance grew accordingly. In her new office aboard the expanded Station 47, Susan reviewed reports from the dozen new repair academies now operating throughout human territory. The Krull Empire is requesting a dedicated repair facility in their home system, she told John during their weekly meeting. They're offering access to their military shield technology in exchange. John raised an eyebrow. The same Krull who wouldn't share technology with anyone 6 months ago. "The universe is changing," Susan replied. "Earth Central is calling us a bridge species now, connecting technological traditions that evolved separately." The repair guilds that had organized the sabotage had been exposed and dissolved by their own governments. No one wanted to be associated with an attack that had so dramatically backfired. Instead, many former guild members now sought training at human facilities, recognizing the changing reality. On the observation deck, John found Kimberly sitting alone, watching ships arrive and depart. After her role in exposing the sabotage, she had been promoted to security chief for the station. Thinking about the past, John asked, joining her. She smiled. Thinking about the future. Look at them all, still coming to us for repairs. Through the viewport, they could see the familiar sight, ships from dozens of civilizations, waiting patiently in the queue for human assistance. But something had changed. Now many of those ships carried apprentice engineers, coming to learn as well as receive repairs. You know what's funny? John said. All we wanted to do was fix things. We never set out to change galactic politics or create some grand coalition. Isn't that the most human thing of all? Kimberly replied. Solving one problem and accidentally fixing a dozen others along the way. In his quarters that evening, John found a message from Earth Central, a formal recognition of Station 47's role in establishing humanity's new position in the galactic community. Attached was a recording showing repair hubs being constructed throughout human space and beyond, all based on the Station 47 model. 5 years had passed since the sabotage attempt on Station 47. What began as a simple repair outpost had evolved into the central hub of a vast network spanning the galaxy. Humanity's position had transformed from galactic newcomers to essential partners in interstellar affairs. John Carter stood in the grand observation deck of the newly constructed Earth Diplomatic Center. The massive structure orbited Earth itself, serving as both a repair facility and the headquarters for human diplomatic relations. Through the panoramic windows, he could see hundreds of alien vessels, some for repairs, others for diplomatic missions, many for the knowledge exchange programs that had become Earth's most valuable export. Hard to believe it all started with a broken Volari ship, Susan said, joining him at the window. Her uniform now carried the insignia of Fleet Admiral, overseeing the entire repair network. John nodded. Sometimes I miss the simplicity of those early days. Just us and a handful of technicians, fixing one ship at a time. Speaking of the old days, Susan said, "Did you see who arrived this morning?" She pointed toward a distinctive vessel docked at the primary repair bay, the original Volari trade ship that had first visited Station 47 years ago. Its captain, Zexalon, now served as the Volari ambassador to Earth. Some things come full circle, John mused. Later that day, John attended the opening ceremony for the Galactic Repair and Engineering Council. Representatives from 47 species filled the grand chamber, each wearing the distinctive insignia that blended their world symbols with the universal repair emblem, a stylized human hand holding tools. Daniel Hayes, now director of the Interspecies Engineering Academy, addressed the assembly. 5 years ago, humanity discovered its place in the galaxy not through military might or technological superiority, but through our unique ability to fix what others considered broken. Today, we formalize what began as a simple repair station into a galactic institution. The chamber erupted in the various sounds of alien approval, clicks, hums, and other vocalizations that the translators didn't bother converting. The message was clear enough. On the far side of the galaxy, Kimberly Wright supervised the construction of the newest repair hub in previously unexplored space. After her role in saving Station 47, she had chosen to bring human repair expertise to the frontier regions. The final stabilizers are in place, reported her assistant, a young Kraken engineer who had graduated from the first class at the academy. The station can begin operations tomorrow. Kimberly smiled. Send the announcement to the local systems. Let them know Frontier Repair Hub 12 is open for business. She didn't have to wait long. Before the day ended, 3 ships from previously unknown species approached the hub, all showing signs of damage. Word had spread even to civilizations humans had yet to formally contact. If something needed fixing, humans were the ones to see. Back on Earth, Nathan Blackwell led a different kind of revolution. His hybrid technology approach had evolved into an entirely new field of study: convergent engineering, the science of combining technological principles from multiple species to create something greater than the sum of its parts. The Zipari crystalline computing cores combined with Kral power distribution methods have created a system 5 times more efficient than either original design. He explained to his students, "This is the future, not just repairing what exists, but reimagining what could be." That evening, representatives from across the galaxy gathered for a special ceremony. John, as the founder of what had become known as the Repair Revolution, was being honored with the inaugural Galactic Unity Award. As he approached the podium, John looked out at the audience. Humans and aliens, engineers and diplomats, all united by the simple human principle that broken things should be fixed. "When we opened Station 47, he began, we had no idea that fixing alien ships would change humanity's destiny. We were just doing what humans have always done, looking at problems and finding solutions, no matter how different or strange those problems might be." He paused, remembering the early days when a single alien ship had seemed remarkable. "We didn't set out to create a galactic coalition or reshape interstellar politics. We just wanted to help. And in doing so, we discovered something profound. That sometimes the greatest contribution any species can make isn't building the most advanced technology, but helping others keep their technologies working." As applause filled the chamber, John gazed out at the stars visible through the massive windows. Human repair stations now orbited hundreds of worlds, serving as beacons of cooperation in a once divided galaxy.